Chapter 6. First Trip to Brazil. To date, I have not seen a more relaxed country than Brazil. And that's why I love this country. Beautiful nature, large open spaces, friendly people, tropical landscapes, endless beaches, a magical ocean, gorgeous women, all this and much more is Brazil. When I first flew there, I saw from the window of the plane the luminous night of São Paulo. In general, the view of the twilight city from a height is always unusual and atmospheric. You look down and realize how small you are in this vast world that seems to have no boundaries. Traffic, houses, streets, everything is alive and thriving. Fascinated by the night city, I flew and thought about how nice it is to fly somewhere far away, to the other end of the world, and to see a different world living across the ocean. An indescribable feeling. For many years in a row, I dreamed of visiting Brazil, and now the time has come. I remember how, shortly before my departure from my native village, my dad and I were planting potatoes in the garden together, and Russian alligator helicopters were flying in the sky on the horizon, which were once again bombing something in the area of the Ilyich metallurgical plant. There were 3 or 4 of them. They fired live missiles and thermal decoys to avoid being shot down. The sky was buzzing with their flights and rocket launches. That morning, my father and I were talking about various things, and I told him that I might go to Holland and then to Brazil, but at the time it seemed unrealistic and distant, and now it's a done deal. I've imagined Brazil many times, but I didn't know what kind of country it was in reality. It turned out to be very hospitable. When I arrived at Guarulhos airport, I was met by a man named Leonardo. He also had a spiritual name, Lilananda Prabhu. In the Vedic system, the word Prabhu is used in reference to men, while women are referred to as Mataji. Lilananda Prabhu was from the Hare Krishna organization. He was an interesting and very responsible person who had some knowledge of Russian and wore a funny-looking hat. Lilananda Prabhu always wore Vaishnava clothing, a traditional Indian dhoti, similar to the white cloth we are familiar with, but patterned and long. Such a garment can be wrapped around the body in different ways. Only sometimes did I see Leonardo not in it, but only when he went to work. Lilananda Prabhu was always joking, but he was very reserved and strict. To some extent, I didn't want to upset him with my non-spiritual conversations, as I could see that he was quite deeply immersed in spiritual topics, unlike me. I had somewhat distanced myself from spiritual matters over time, as I had been much more interested in them in the past. I still have a complete set of Srimad Bhagavatam at home, and Bhagavad Gita, with other books by His Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder of ENGin. So, we were driving through rainy São Paulo with Leonardo and talking. He told me about the country, about unemployment, and about the Krishna devotees who live here, about the temple where he lived himself, and about many other things. As we were driving, I noticed the large number of motorcyclists around, and the huge wide roads. It was not at all like Holland, not even close. Lilananda Prabhu took me to the temple where the magical beauty of the deities of Radha and Krishna, Giriraja Govardhana, and others was installed. It was a wonderful temple with its permanent residents, especially Dana Govinda and another elderly Mataji who had been living there for a long time. Mataji means mother as well as woman. She had a wonderful granddaughter, Shyamurani Didi, who performed kirtans and bhajans beautifully. The temple also had brahmacharis and grihasthas. Brahmacharis are men who wear orange and pink robes and are engaged in constant service, while grihasthas are married people. Specifically, I was placed in a guest room, together with one Argentinian who has the spiritual name of Smitha Krishna Prabhu. It's a tall, thin man, with an open heart and a thoughtful face. One day, he sat in the room to eat mango, and cut it into small pieces. When I entered, he was pleased and smiling, and he offered me some. He is a very calm person, and I have always enjoyed simply sitting together without talking. A few months later, when we were at his house in Argentina, we were going to hold an auspicious ceremony on the roof of his house, but it didn't work out, but we managed to organize a great program within the walls of his humble abode. Anyone who has attended a Hare Krishna home program knows how cozy they can be. But all of this would happen later, and at the time, he and I were living together in a small room, which was soon filled with other guests. Everyone was preparing to welcome a famous Indian Maharaja, His Grace Bhaktivedanta Vana Goswami, who was coming to Brazil on a new tour. When I first arrived in São Paulo, I saw this city very industrialized, a bunch of glass skyscrapers reflecting each other and the sunlight. The views were like pictures from movies of the USA of my childhood, as if I had entered my boyhood, where the reality of Terminator and RoboCop lived. Starting to travel around Brazil, I was inspired by its beauty, its vastness, and its attractive people. Men and women there are completely different, from all over the world, even albinos came across several times. Brazil is truly a country of immigrants. In São Paulo, there are Korean, Japanese, African, and other districts. It's a city with wide streets, huge shopping areas, endless overpasses, and a massive traffic flow, but there are almost no parks. The city is built up with skyscrapers until dark, but it's also filled with favelas, which I preferred to avoid. Also in Brazil, Masonic culture and magic are popular. It is considered absolutely normal there to have different altars on the streets, under the trees, or at the crossroads, where fruits, grain legumes, and even dead birds or meat are sacrificed to the spirits. Several times I saw statuettes of the Virgin Mary without a head or her figure blackened by the smoldering of fire. In Rio's famous Tijuca Park, where the statue of Jesus is located, monkeys roam around one of the waterfalls, and people give them lots of fruit and sweets. The monkeys come from the jungle and they take away all the offerings very quickly. I've seen it myself. It also sells various magical paraphernalia, wood, amulets, bracelets, incense, tarot cards, and more. Magic as a practice in Brazil is very common. On the streets, you can freely meet people who read tarot cards. And there are even places where all kinds of esotericists gather, such as Alto Paraíso de Goiás, which really does resemble paradise. And life there is almost heavenly. There are many esotericists in some localities of this municipality where I have been. It feels like they have all come together in this magical place with waterfalls, jungles, and other exotic features. Devotees of Shiva, devotees of Krishna, people from all over the world came there. It is not just a place, but a paradise on the earth. I was also told that UFOs are often seen there, and even at the entrance to one of the towns there you can see a large wooden arch with a carved picture of a flying saucer and graffiti depicting aliens. Cool place. I'm not even talking about the breathtaking views that you can see from your car window during long drives through these unforgettable places. In general, there are a lot of attractive things in Brazil. I even thought about staying there to live, but I left anyway and returned to Holland, where my room was still reserved for me. Upon my return I was reprimanded for my long absence, but I was not deprived of my room. When I came back I wanted to travel more, so I visited Paris and Barcelona. I really liked Paris, although many criticize it for its trash and crime, but not me. It is an exquisite city with interesting architecture, rich history, and nice people. At that time, many Ukrainians were able to visit well-known and popular cities and places in Europe, which was previously hard to imagine. No matter how you look at it, the war in Ukraine has given many people the opportunity to go out into the world and see its vastness and splendor. And I was one of those people. I remember sitting by the glass pyramid in the courtyard of the Louvre and thinking, well, here I am in Paris. I never thought I'd be there before. That time I didn't go into the Louvre, I was just near it, in its courtyard, wandering outside. My English friend and teacher Mark, whom I had met a year earlier, walked around the Louvre with me. He taught me English for free for exactly 1 year, and it was very interesting. Mark and I went to the Arc de Triomphe, walked along the banks of the Seine, visited the Louvre from the outside, and went to the Place de la Concorde. I looked at Tarot for his personal situation. It was really interesting. He told me about his girlfriend who was traveling around Portugal with a Christian mission. Mark was thinking about getting married and was trying to decide whether or not to start a family with this girl, so he asked me for a tarot reading. I did my best to help him. I should also mention that Mark is a big fan of poker, and he even uses it to earn a living by playing poker games. Amsterdam, Las Vegas, and other cities. In general, everyone lives as they like. After Paris, I returned to Holland and rejoined my previous lifestyle.